Let's talk about the new Diamond Set exclusive player items, how to acquire them, the cheapest way to get them, as well as how good they are and how they stack up against other cards of the same type. Let's hop into it. So recently, EA released Diamond Set exclusive player items in the 93 Wade Reden and the 93 Rick Tocchet. And I've gotten a ton of questions about whether you should make them or not, and I think it is going to depend on the type of player you are, whether you play majority of offline or online. Let's start first by taking a look at each of the items. We'll start with Wade Reden. Now these are going to operate like your standard upgrade card. It will cost you 21 power-up collectibles to max out the card and get it to 93. They will not increase in overall, meaning that they're not going to unlock a new tier or anything like that. So you have to understand that when you upgrade them to 93, if you replace them, you are going to have to power them down and lose a bunch of power-up collectibles, which would total 7 power-up collectibles, which is roughly 100 to 120,000 coins in value. So just keep that in mind. Now this card comes with everything that you'd want in a defenseman card. He's 6'2", 205, a left-handed defenseman with two-way, as well as accelerator, defensive, and checking boost. You're going to want to go with accelerator boost and two-way, in my opinion, to upgrade his defensive awareness and his endurance. Once it's all said and done with his synergies, you've got 94 speed, 96 excel, 92 agility, balance, and endurance at 95, an almost maxed out shot, low to mid-90s hand stats, 92 body checking, and essentially max defensive awareness. He also comes with the added bonus of having gold quick pick, which is one of the best defensive abilities for the cost, because it will actually give you intercept animations against those people that are still just hucking it right through the middle. It's got elite edges, which is useful on a defenseman. Silver is much nicer at only the 4 ability point cost. Thunderclap, if you take a ton of slap shots, I personally do not, does have some value, but Shutdown is the real benefit here because it is one of the best abilities in the game. So you've got a great skating, big, left-handed defenseman card with a bunch of useful abilities. Very, very strong card. Next, we'll take a look at Rick Tocchet. 6'2", 210. He is a right-handed forward, a pure winger card that does come with power forward and enforcer forward. Now, it is going to be very difficult on a good team to unlock enforcer forward without kind of hammering it in your lineup with sacrificing fourth liners or third liners to just put anyone with that enforcer forward synergy in the game. However, if you have, let's say, Matthew Tkachuk's Team of the Season card that gives +3 to enforcer forward, and maybe you have Gordie Howe as well, you're almost there. He's also got checking and shooting boost. I would go with checking boost. So let's pretend he's got enforcer forward activated. That means he's got 97 speed, 95 excel, maxed balance, good endurance, low to mid-90s shot. Same with his hand stats, but he's got maxed out body checking. And then again, comes with some fun abilities in gold truculence, close quarters, back at ya, as well as unstoppable force. A extremely tough right-handed winger card to go after, especially if you have truculence activated, because that means on the forecheck, not only can you throw everyone off of the puck, but you also sap all of their energy, which is an overlooked thing when it comes to truculence. That's one of the biggest benefits from it. Now, the reason why I want to highlight these cards is because if you haven't been playing a lot of the game offline, you're actually going to be able to make one of these very easily. So if you head over to the game mode sets, you will see all the way at the end in the diamond sets, there is now 2 new ones, the 84 Rick Tocchet and the 84 Wade Reden. They will cost you 3 diamond collectibles each if you want to get them, and those aren't really cheap. Now, I made a video at the beginning of the year trying to explain these game mode sets, and it was way more difficult because they actually didn't have the tile art ready when they released them, and it was just a disaster. But essentially, for rivals and squad battles, if you don't have any collectibles for them because, well, let's say you take untradeable rivals rewards and you just don't receive any, you're not going to be able to get rivals collectibles to make a diamond collectible. And if you don't play squad battles, well, then you're not going to be able to make them either. So that begs the question, how are you going to get diamond collectibles? Well, one way is via Hut Rush, but again, that can take you some time. I think the most overlooked way for a lot of the players that do not play offline and they mostly play rivals and champs is live moments. I've ignored live moments essentially the entire year, and it will cost you 15 live moment collectibles to get 1 diamond collectible. Remember, you need 3. So that's 45 live moments collectibles, which sounds daunting. However, if you're like me and you really haven't played offline and you haven't really touched the live moments, you have got just an endless list of moments that you can complete to get a ton of live moment collectibles. Remember, you only need 45, but there are some in here, like this one that will give you 15. Now, obviously, it's going to be very difficult because you've got to score some specific goals on Superstar, but as you can see, a lot of them, like this one right here, where you're scoring a goal with Connor Bedard, that'll net you 9 alone. alone. So if you haven't been playing these offline moments, go and take a look at the list and just start tackling some of the ones that are very simple. I would look for the ones on pro difficulty. They are very easy. And just start hammering these out, and you'll be able to get enough to make either Wade Reden or Rick Tocchet very easily. And then obviously it will cost you power-up collectibles, but just getting the 84s via the diamond sets, it's going to be pretty simple for anyone that has not already done these. Now, obviously, if you've been playing these moments and you're an offline player for most of the year, you probably don't have many available to you, and you've probably been spending them on other things like, I don't know, the mini ultimate pack, something like that. You're going to have to wait, do Hut Rush, things like that. But for any online player, you've got a very easy route to one of these cards, or both, to be honest with you. Now, before you rush out and make them, I want to bring something up here, because if you are able to play Hut Champs and you can get a few Hut Champs collectibles, Ryan McDonagh is essentially the exact same card. So I just want to point that out. It is essentially the exact same card here. He gets Accelerator Boost as well as two-way defenseman, only he's got Gold Shutdown, which is probably one of the best defensive abilities in the game, and Silver Quick Pick, so they flip them. They are almost the exact same height. These are almost identical cards. So if you are looking for a left-handed defenseman, it's all going to depend on your playstyle. If you are someone that plays online only, I would probably just stick with this. You can go and get Ryan McDonagh very easy via Hut Champs. However, your Hut Champs collectibles are probably more valuable spent elsewhere in other packs, whereas live moments, you can just do live moments, get those collectibles, and you're really not going to do anything else with them. So it's more of like burning a week of rewards, but I just wanted to point this out. On top of that, you can also go with the 93 Tom Wilson from Hut Champs, like you can see that I did before these cards were released, so I did not know that we were going to get a Rick Tocchet card from the Diamond collectible set. But again, these are very, very similar cards. They play the exact position. However, Tom Wilson's 6'4", 220, so much bigger. He is 2 speed and 2 acceleration less than Rick Tocchet, but I think the trade-off is more than fine. It's all about Enforcer Forward, like I mentioned, because if you can get Enforcer Forward activated by maybe even having both of these guys, you're in a great spot, just because it makes all of those Enforcer Forward cards so good. But I just wanted to point that out, that there is an online version of these cards that you can go out and get, and it's just going to depend on your playstyle, but they're both very, very similar. In terms of if you should make them, I'm going to touch on my team. In terms of if I think you should make them or not, I'm going to give you some context. If you have Nathan MacKinnon's Team of the Year, neither of them are replacing him. So you have to understand you're putting all of that investment in, and they're probably not going to play as high. I'd even argue that Matthew Barzal's flashback card, just because it can get to 99 speed and have gold wheels, I think that's still the best combo in the game with silver elite edges. After that, it's probably the next best one. So it's all going to depend if you have Nathan MacKinnon's Team of the Year card, I think. But even if you don't, if you've got Gordie Howe, like, I think Gordie Howe is still worth keeping, simply because he is going to keep going up and overall if you are still going to play the game for the remainder of the year. I think that both of these cards are clearly better than Gordie Howe right now. However, there's an interesting dynamic you can do if you have Team of the Year Matthew Tkachuk as well, because like I said, you can go Enforcer Forward here. That would bring his speed to 94. You can go Enforcer Forward on Gordie Howe, so you've got 4, and then Tom Wilson and Rick Tocchet as your 3 right-handed wingers, and you've just got a mean left side of the ice, and you'll have Enforcer Forward activated. In terms of defensemen, I honestly think making one of them, whether it be McDonagh or Wade Reden, is pretty recommended. Now, I know a lot of you probably have Larry Robinson, but let's say you don't. I would definitely make one of them, because the only way in which I wouldn't really recommend it, or at least rushing out to make Wade Reden or McDonagh, is if you have McCabe and Robinson, simply because like you're going to put one of them on your third pairing, and I just don't think that's really worth it. So if you don't have either of these cards, then I would definitely make at least one of them, and it's legitimately whoever your favorite player is, because like I showed you earlier, they are essentially the exact same card. So I hope this helps out in terms of making your decision and clearing up how you make these cards and the value. And like I said, if you haven't touched live moments, you've got a pretty easy path to creating one. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. I'd be curious to hear of any players that have already used these cards and how worth it you think it is. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.